From yesterday's installment in Rome, from Seneca, today we return to Timothy. Prisca asked me, "When do you visit Paul? What hours in the day?" In the evening, I said, "When the city sits home eating supper." Prisca said, "You must take me with you." "I don't know," I said. "I don't think the guard will let anyone else in the cell but me." "Timothy, don't say no. I'm going to enter his cell with you." "Why, Prisca?" "I'll tell you only this, and this is what you will tell the guard, that I'm going to give him a massage. Say that the man will die before his trial unless I can lay hands upon his back." "But Luke can do that better than you." "Luke's too big," she said. "Besides, Luke has other work to do." "What are you saying? What do you mean?" "And this time, when you visit Paul, we must go a little later than usual. We'll go as the day gets darker." "Prisca, what are you telling me?" "Come to my house at sunset. Wear heavy clothing, whatever the weather. I'll be waiting." In fact, the weather has been balmy all day long. A lovely day, a zephyr day, one of the first true days of spring, and now the sun is sitting on the edge of the sea, glaring back at me. He lays upon the water such a hard gold path that I imagine walking to him and going home for good. The passing of winter makes daydreams in me. In spite of the vernal warmth, I'm wearing a robe of coarse wool, as Prisca requested. In my robe, I turn the corner of her house. Just as I approach it, the door opens, and Prisca stands before me, grave and mysterious. She's dressed in something like a Roman toga. The sinus, the fold that usually drapes the shoulders, is pulled over her head as a pagan priestess might cover herself to offer sacrifice. Prisca's face is in shadow. Aquila steps into view. He puts his own face into the shadow of her hood and kisses his wife. He looks at me a long moment, spontaneously kisses me as well, and vanishes indoors. Prisca has a supple leather pouch in her hand. I assume it contains the lotions for the massage. I have a scrip with bread and dry fruit and a leather flask of very thin wine. "Come," Prisca whispers, as though no one should hear her but me, and we set out for the Praetorium. Neither of us speaks. My heart has begun to pound in my breast. Nothing is common right now. Something enormous is rising tonight, but I can't see it to name it. I'm walking in darkness. At the back of the Praetorium, I lead Prisca down a narrow stone staircase into the dank basement of the place. We enter a hallway which ends at a heavy wooden door with a grate and a binding of steel bands. I pound on the door. One of the interior guards puts his face to the grate. "Timothy," I say, "bringing supper to Paul." The guard is chewing something. He has a gap between his front two teeth. He grunts and unbars the door from the other side. It swings on an iron post that turns in sockets of stone. We enter. The guard closes and rebars the door, then turns away from us and goes to a stone bench where the other two guards are sitting and eating. The room is narrow, long to the left and the right. The ceiling's low. All its beams and stonework blackened by the smoke of bad oil and open torches. "Timothy," I repeat myself, but the captain of the guards raises his arm without getting up. "Yeah," he says, through saliva and a mash of bread. He nods and thrusts his thumb toward his left, our right. He aims a fisted arm at Prisca. "But not you. And why are you hiding your face? You got something you're ashamed of?" I grin and fawn and bow a bit. Listen, I say, it's a woman. She's only a woman, but she's come for a good reason. Listen, I say, your prisoner could well die before the trial. And listen, I mean, he could die on your watch, sir. If you didn't allow my friend here to minister to him, she will work his joints and the infirmities of his back. It's a massage, I said. All three guards keep chewing and staring at us. At Priska, really, a woman. The captain says, "What are you hiding, woman?" I said, "How often have you found yourself a prisoner unconscious in the cell?" He does that when he's in extremity. He passes out and nearly dies. You know that. This shows the need for my friend's healing. Please, let her pass with me. Shut up, the captain commands me. Oh, my heart is charging like a horse in my breast. I'm not succeeding here. "Woman, speak for yourself," he says. "Show me your face." Priska, in a timid, halting voice, says, "Please don't ask that. Because you're right, sir. I am ashamed." All three guards are interested now. The captain narrows his eyes and leans forward. "Ain't nobody passing me here, whose identity I don't know. Either drop the hood or get out." Slowly, Priska raises her right hand to the hem that hangs at her brow. She lifts it, she draws the cloth backward, and I gasp. Tears sting my eyes. "Priska," I breathe. Her hair is shorn, chopped off so that patches of scalp show through, and the skin has been cut. The skin has scabs. Oh, her whole face looks so tiny now, so pinched and miserable. The gap-toothed guard says, "What?" and starts to laugh. "Jill, you're butchered, you are." The captain barks, "Shut up." And to Priska he says, "Who did that to you?" She answers, "My husband." "Priska," I hiss. "Aquila?" "Why?" the captain demands. Custom. Priska sighs with sadness. She lowers her eyelids and stares at the floor. "I wronged him. He has the right." Oh, how I wanted to take the mournful woman in my arms right now, to hold her, to comfort her, to protect her. The first guard says, "Hoo-wee, I'd like to hear him tell that particular wrong." "Please, sir," Priska says to the captain, her voice, her whole being drooping. "Now that you've seen me, can I cover my head again?" He wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. His name's Aquila. "Aquila, hey?" the captain growls. "And I die for my mistake. I'd like to meet the brave Aquila. Cover it." Priska has never let go of the cloth. She pulls the hood slowly over her ruined skull, then reaches into the leather pouch and takes something from it. With a graceful motion, with the carriage of nobility, she steps forward to the captain of the guard, and as I watch her, I realize that events have passed me by. I'm no longer leading, I'm following. Priska extends her hand to the captain. She says, "I have another request, sir. Just this once, just for this visitation. Would you be kind enough to unshackle the prisoner? He must stretch out on his stomach, or my hands can do him no good." She opens her palm. She's offering him 7 pieces of gold. Fresh Roman coin, stamped with the head of Nero. The captain grunts and accepts the gift. He takes a great swallow from a clay jug, then stands up, grabs a smoking torch from its sconce, and walks down the narrow room to his left. He limps as if his joints are stiff. All the other prisoners are locked on the other side of this wall. We can hear murmuring, muffled motion, but we pass on. Paul's cell is at the end of the hall. Stretch out, the gap-toothed guard behind us is making a joke. Stretch out, says her hands can do him good. Well, I got a mind to do some stretching out too when she comes back. Shear a woman once, she's sheared forever. Paul sits on the floor of his cell, his back to the wall, watching as the captain enters and approaches him and starts to unlock the manacles on his wrists. We enter too. In the light of the torch, Paul's face is meatless, gaunt, and drained of emotion. He asks nothing of the captain of the guard. His wrists are raw from the metal. He rubs each one as it comes free, but grimaces. Rubbing itself is a torment. The guard retires and leaves us alone, and only then does Paul raise his eyes to indicate that he knows there are two of us here. I think I see the ghost of a smile. And then my teacher and my friend amazes me, for in a croak of a voice, he greets Prisca while her face is still hidden. "Priscilla, you've come to see me." "I've come," she says. "She's come," I announce, feeling giddy at our success, "to give you a massage." Prisca turns and scolds me. "No, Timothy, no. That's not my place anymore." "But you said—" "I said what you needed to know to argue with the guards with sincerity." She turns back to Paul and kneels down in front of him. "Not to give you a massage," Prisca says, gathering his hands in hers and laying them against her lips. "I've come to give you my clothes." Paul, so thin and wasted, emotion begins to twist in his face. His black brow rises in question, and I think in gratitude to the woman whose kisses are warming his hands, but his body is unused to strong feeling, and it trembles. His arms and his great head tremble as if with a palsy. Both of us speak at once, Paul and I. I say, "What, your clothes, Prisca? What are you talking about?" While Paul says, "No, I don't like it. I refuse." Prisca says, "You have no choice. Everything has been arranged. If you don't go now, you will leave all your friends in the lurch. And if I do go," Paul says, withdrawing his hands from hers and balling them into pitiful fists, "I leave you in danger of losing your life. I can't do that. For my part, I don't understand. I'm holding my peace. The air in this dark cell seems to spark with tension and matters unspoken. If I say one more foolish thing, something will crack like thunder." "It's too late for objections," Prisca says. She seizes Paul's hands a second time and draws them to her brow. She lifts her chin. The hood falls backward, and she places his hands palm flat upon her wretched scalp. "You see, things have begun already. Your freedom is my gift to you. When you get out of here in my clothes with your head covered, no one will ask you to uncover it. The captain will not shame me twice, and he won't shame you the first time." Oh, man. She sings for me, and for herself, and for Paul, for Aquila and all who risk their necks in service to God. "Hush, hush, and strengthen your knees," Prisca sings. "For this is our mind, the mind of Christ, who gave up power and took a body, who humbled his body to dust and to death, who died the death," she sings as I rise and take Paul's weight upon my shoulder, "who died the death of deaths on the cross."